What is up, my friend? Welcome to episode number 84 of the Anthony John Amics podcast. Today I'm bringing on a guest to talk about how to build systems and processes inside your business. You know, I find lots of entrepreneurs are running around like a chicken with their head cut off inside their business because they haven't really taken time to create systems and processes. And oftentimes entrepreneurs believe that no one can do what they do as good as they can do it. And I'm here to tell you, like, that is absolute nonsense. So if you're sick and tired of your business running you rather than you running your business, and you're ready to get some help and know that there are other people who can actually do things inside of your business as good or even better than you, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Anthony John Amics podcast, the one and only podcast designed to help you become unstoppable in life and business. My name is Anthony John Amics. My friends call me AJ, and my goal with this podcast is to help you remember who you truly are so you can maintain your center in the chaos, embody your potential, and unlock freedom in your life and business. That being said, let's get into today's show. All right, welcome back. If you're here listening to this podcast, it's probably safe to say that you love learning about how to have more freedom, purpose, and success in your life and business. Am I right? Well, here's some good news for you. Not only can you listen to all of this information, but you can get access to additional trainings as well, because I have a free Facebook community called Shift 101 where I cover topics around marketing and sales and personal development. And I can only go so deep on this podcast, right? And the trainings inside the Facebook community, they're a way to just pretty much like deep dive into some of the tactical, practical specifics of really like growing a personal brand and having a lot of freedom and purpose inside your personal life. So if you want to learn how to take your personal brand to the next level, make sure you head on over to ajamix.com/community. Make sure you hit that little request to join button. It's 100% free. Again, just go to ajamix.com/community to request to join today. So let's talk a little bit about today's guest. Her name is Veronica Yanhs. I first met Veronica in San Diego at an online marketing event back in January of 2020. And Veronica is a very fascinating individual because she helps entrepreneurs be more efficient by helping them solve organizational, operational problems. And the crazy thing is her branding combines her love for all things kinky with business systems and processes. Like, it's interesting. It's a little strange, right? Now, she's found a way, and this is one of the things I really honor and respect about her, is she has found a way to unapologetically be all of who she is and build a business where she can just be comfortable to be herself 24/7. She works with companies from sex tech startups to marketing agencies. So with that being said, let's bring her onto the show. Veronica, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm excited for this conversation. We met up in San Diego. It's hard to believe that it was only, like 9 months ago, I think. It seems like it's been, I swear, like 5 fucking years since we met.
Because COVID just sped everything up, but also slowed everything down at the same time.
I know. So weird. So weird. Has it like hurt your business, messed with your business, or you're just good to go?
Actually, it's helped my business grow. Like, my business has never done better ever. And so I don't know if it's COVID or because of the line of work that I do, or it's just because I've gotten really clear on who I serve and how and all that good stuff about, correct targeting and things that I don't really know in marketing, but like I try.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's talk about like what you do. So you have a brand called Business Laid Bare. Did I get that right?
Yeah, so that's actually one of my businesses. It's actually my main business. So I do have an umbrella brand, and it's Be Laid Bare, because that's the philosophy that I approach this suite of businesses with. So I have 2 businesses, Business Laid Bare and Desires Laid Bare. So Business Laid Bare is an operations consultancy doing done with you and done for you operational services for businesses who are experiencing breakthrough months. And breakthrough months are months where, like, month 1, you're making like 10, maybe 30,000. And then the next month you've exploded to like 300%. So for easy math, it's like 10 to 30K or like 50 to like 150K. And what operations you had that were good enough are really apparently and blatantly just not enough. And now you need better operation systems and processes to sustain your next level of like operations.
Nice. I knew you had the business. So what's the other one? The
And
design lead bear.
yeah, so Desires Laid Bare is
Desires.
something that's currently on hold
Okay.
because I'm more, things ebb and flow. So that's what happens when you're multi-passionate. And given that it's COVID, it's also the perfect season, I guess, to just tone it down a bit. But it actually teaches BDSM and kink to beginners in a really fun, approachable, and like empowered way.
Awesome. Awesome.
So two very different businesses, but very much are connected together in how I approach the belief and the philosophy of the businesses.
Awesome. So one of the things I'm interested in is because you've taken like this one thing about kinky stuff and kind of created like a brand, a personal brand, business brand, whatever, a brand is what we'll call it, for Business Laid Bare.
Yeah.
How did you marry those two things? Because that's almost like a stroke of genius in and of itself.
Really? Well, thank you. I will receive that compliment wholeheartedly. But to be honest, I don't know. Like, it wasn't intentional. All I knew was that I was tired of hiding. So all my life, I've had something bad happen to me in different stages of my life, and I've always had to keep it hidden, like, for instance, sexual abuse. And so it's just like, now that I'm an adult, in air quotes, because this is a podcast, because when are we ever adults? But it's like, you know what? I have my own business and I'm tired of hiding, and there's no shame in being kinky. And so I'm just like, you know what? This is who I am in person. And the fact that I have to be like buttoned up and professional online, I'm just like, this doesn't resonate. And so one day I was just like, fuck it. Hi, everyone. This is me, your kinky operations person. Hello. And I did like a photo shoot because my brand is about being laid bare. And so to be laid bare to me means to strip away the shit that doesn't serve you, like expectations, limiting beliefs, society, and family like influences that might
Yep.
not serve you, so that you're laid bare and can explore life, business, your relationships exactly how you see fit. Because the only way you can live life as you is if you just get rid of all those layers of, Christmas sweaters that you don't want. And so metaphorically, it's about stripping yourself away bare. And then, literally, I'm just like, I don't really like to wear clothes a lot of the time. So it just works. And it helps me be more environmental. Haha. Less laundry.
So I'm curious, how did you come to that? How did you, like, what happened in life for you to finally get to a point where you're like, fuck it, I am tired of wearing all of these Christmas sweaters. I have a whole bunch of them on. So I am going to go and dive into and accept I would assume fears. Most people would be terrified to rip off the 8,000 sweaters and be like, hi, here I am. So what was going on for you to actually lean into that edge and pull off all the sweaters?
So I'm Chinese, or I was born here, and
Okay.
the Chinese stereotypes do ring true, although I am terrible at math. But it's like your family, like, there are such high expectations. Like, when I was a kid, if I got 100% on a test, my family is like, so why didn't you get like extra credit? And then, like, if there happened to be extra credit on a test, I was like, hey, and I got it. So like 120% out of 100. They're like, why didn't you get more? So it was like never enough. Or I was meant, it's either the themes of never enough, not good enough, or you don't know best. And so we believe that this is what's best for you, and you're going to follow it and just nod and smile. And I don't know what happened. Maybe it was being born in America, but God, I gave my parents a hard time. Like, sure, I was a really good kid. Like, I would say that I did my homework, went to bed, did all the things I was supposed to, but was I rebellious? Like, they hated when I asked why or when I questioned things instead of just like going with the flow. And so, like, I went to college expecting to be a doctor or a surgeon or a lawyer or an engineer, something that was stable and could make you money, because that's, Asians value that, especially my family, because they immigrated here to escape like the Vietnam War. So I understand how scarcity is everywhere. Like, the scarcity mindset is so real. And I know where that comes from, but I can also honor that because that's their history.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good. Keep on with the story. I like it. I'm curious where it's going to go.
So I've realized that upon introspecting and looking back, it's like all the things that I did that mattered to me were when I followed my own intuition and my own life, and like just again shut out what everybody thought, because here I was getting so many perspectives and voices from family, friends, high school, college counselors, what have you, but the one voice that needed to be heard the most was mine, and it was definitely not being heard. And so when I finally was just like, okay, everybody shut the fuck up, let me like listen to myself, like that's when things got amazing. And so like in college, there was like, so I went to Stanford and they were like, there was 143 majors here. Why can't you freaking pick one? And I'm like, well, I'm straddling these three because I want to be in design because I love it. I love design. I love design innovation and products and all that stuff. But yet at the same time, it's like, I'm also from Oregon. So environmental consciousness is important to me. But yet you don't really have any classes about environmental consciousness or life cycle analysis. Like what happens when somebody throws away the product that a designer designs? And then of course, if I'm going to be designing stuff, I want to make money from it. So where's your business and management stuff, right? But of course I understand that not every curriculum can like stuff everything they want to. Otherwise you'd have like an 8-year undergrad experience. But like, I knew that in order for me to have the right experience, I'm like, I had to combine 3 majors into one. And I'm like, here's an 8-page proposal. Here is a recommendation letter from each of the 3 majors, like the departments. And here is my curriculum. Here you go. And so they said yes. And I was able to have my own major and like go my own path. And it really showcased that this was the type of person that I am. Like, I can't just like go really, really deep into one thing because I have to understand the implications that other things have on it.
Nice.
So I just like make my life as I see fit. That's just been who I am. I'm like, I'm not happy with this. Like, if I go to order at a restaurant and they're like, you can't have this on it, I'm like, yes, why not? I want this and this and this and this because this is what would make me happy. And I guess this is just how I live my life.
Mm. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like you've just kind of always done you.
Exactly. Without really knowing it. Because at first it's scary when you're going against the grain of what society and family expects from you, because I am a recovering people pleaser. So it's like to have them be disappointed in you or to say like, what the hell is product design? That's not going to make you any money kind of thing. It's like, this is constantly the language that I was met with. So to fast forward, it's like, if I showed up for myself like this in school, who am I to not show up for myself like this in business, especially if this is my business? And I realized I'm like, if I'm getting to run my own business, I deserve to be 1,000% happy. So what would make me 1,000% happy is being openly kinky. And I've refined that over the last few years, like especially this year. So it's 2020 now. And it's like I realized that how I explore kink and BDSM is exactly how I design like orgasmic feeling businesses for my clients, and also with a huge dose of human-centered design thrown in. So that's where my product design education comes in. So nice. Human-centered design is about designing with empathy and compassion and like putting that person that you're designing for in like the exact center, and just figuring out all the different solutions that would actually be game changing for them and not what you think is best, because it's not designing about you. So that is how my formula works, I guess, in my business: kink and human-centered design.
So how did you, because you mentioned that you're a recovering people pleaser. So how did you choose to stop pleasing people? Because I would assume it'd be really hard to build your brand if you still cared about pleasing people.
Because one, they either were pleased and I felt like shit, or two, they were not pleased and I felt like shit times 5. Either way, I lost. So I'm like, pleasing people only fucks with me and fucks me up. So why should I want to do this anymore? So yeah, that was pretty much the Cliff Notes version of it. It's like, I always was on the losing end. So
now, did you come to that conclusion in college, or was it after college that you decided to stop pleasing people?
Oh, it was definitely after college. So probably when I was in my mid-20s.
Nice.
which was not exactly that long ago, but
27, if I had to guess, ish.
it just turned 31.
Nice. There's something magical around 27. I don't know what it is. It's like a rite of passage for humans, it seems to be. It's astrologically, and it just seems to be a pattern that I see working with people. There's a big shift that happens at 27, where at some point you get to a place where you don't give a fuck what people think about you. And then you go on this journey of actually cleaning up your past to really not give a fuck what people think about you. So you actually can embrace your own genuine expression on planet Earth. It's really fascinating.
For sure. 27 was a very memorable year. Yeah.
Nice. What happened at age 27 for you?
Like you said, it was pretty spot on as to how you described it. And I also met my partner. Well, my partner's currently with me now. He's in the other room. So it's like he's working, we're working, but it's just like I felt like I did a lot of the work to begin the path of feeling worthy of myself and therefore worthy in other people. So like instead of that people pleasing mode, it's like, well, am I good enough as exactly who I am? And when you strip away like your alma mater, your skills, all the things that you pride yourself in, it's like, are you still good enough just by being who you are? And that is fucking scary.
Yeah, it's true. Do you feel like you're at a place? This is a raw question for a podcast. Do you feel like you're at a place where you're at a place where if the whole accomplishment, the business, everything crashed to the ground, you would still feel worthy just because you're fucking awesome?
For sure, because I knew that I could do it again. Yeah. But it's like if I wasn't sure in what I offered to the world, who I was, how I attracted my people, it's like it's insane that for somebody who was always told that I talked too much or was too much, it's like, hey, fuckers, I'm getting paid to talk too much. So, and look, I'm on a podcast. So it's like, it's really interesting how my life has panned out. But no, if everything crashed, I'm like, I could do it again or maybe do it even better. Yeah, there we go. I would do it even better.
Awesome. Love it. And so let's talk about operations a little bit. What are some of the big mistakes that you see entrepreneurs making when it comes into creating processes and streamlined structures for their business?
So the biggest mistake is that operations are pretty much non-existent in a lot of businesses, and it doesn't get a good rap because it feels very corporate and people shun corporate. But I'm like, guys, if corporate exists because it's so well structured that it gets to grow without the CEO. But corporate is it's a very hot button topic because people they're trying to escape it and not go back into it. And I'm like, well, you get to design what your workspace looks like, but just look at how nice corporate gets to run. Stability, projections of like sustainability and revenue. It's like, it's all the good stuff, but like operations don't get looked at because people are trying to focus on marketing and branding and, for lack of better terms, their website. And so it's like all the things that are shiny and make your business, I guess. And so it's just really interesting to see how people prioritize things. So that I would think would be the first like mistake, is that people don't even think about operations.
Totally. And is there a way to actually have structure and operations and pull from some of the wisdom of a corporate and yet not lose your soul, like as a business owner?
Yeah. And what I always tell my clients when I work with them is like, give yourself the permission to put yourself at the center of your business universe. And getting rid of the, I should be doing this, I could be doing this. But it's like, what do you actually desire? What do you actually want? And so when people go into a business and they're like, well, I don't want to be like corporate or whatnot. And I'm like, well, how would you run your business? How would you treat your employees? What's that culture value add? And so when you actually sit down and write like what you want for yourself, it doesn't matter if it's corporate or not because you're happy. It resonates with who you are because you get to put down how you see your business being run.
So when you talk about somebody taking time, I'm a big proponent of slowing down to go fast. So I like where this is headed. So it sounds like you're asking a business owners listen to this show, And so you're asking them to sit down and then write out, I guess, an ideal way that their business would run. Is that what you would ask them to sit down and write out?
Yeah, of the many practices, it's like, if you're the CEO, why are you listening to other people's opinions? And granted, they are probably successful and you look up to them, but at the end of the day, you're like completely different people. So even if you and I ran exactly the same bakery shop making the exact one thing, like a chocolate chip cookie or whatever it is, you and I would approach it very, very differently because you and I are inherently different people. So it's like, how do you approach business? How do you visualize information? What do you want? How do you want to get there? And so we may have the same 5-year goals, but we could probably get there in very different ways because we're different people.
So what's an example of like yours? I'm curious. Like, what's an example of your written thing?
So for me, this is where my core value and play comes in. So running an agency. So I'm not the only operations consultancy out there. There's so many others. But for me, what's really important is about showing up as who you are meant to be. And so that's how I've added my kink culture to this. It's because this is what makes me feel comfortable. This is what makes me come in my element. And I get to have all like the kinky and butt puns I want without getting in trouble for it. And it's like, I've designed a business that fulfills my need for puns because I love them, honors who I am because you can be kinky, feminist, and a CEO because why not? And it allows me to just feel free because freedom, joy, and ease, like EASE, are my core values. So it's like I baked everything that was important to me because I knew that freedom was so important, freedom of expression, freedom of exploring. And it's because I couldn't do that when I was a kid. I was forced to live somebody else's life. I was forced to follow somebody else's path, like be a doctor, be an engineer. And so it's like freedom is so important. So it's like, that's how I want to create the culture in my company is be free to express what you want, be free to be sex positive, be free to play in the office and out. Like I want to have a brick and mortar. I know it's really crazy, but it's like, I actually want to have an agency office where the front is like co-working and like office space and there's a dungeon in the back.
Nice. I like it.
So it's like little things like that really just set you apart, I guess. Like talk about competition. It's like, I don't care about the competition if I can have like my business my way.
Sure.
Because I'm so thrilled to work in it every day.
So is it getting clear on your core values? And then once you're clear on those core values, then really trying on how would that play out in the culture? How would that play out in how you serve the customer? How would that play out in how you deliver the service? Like, what would that look like? What would that sound like? What would that feel like? Is that kind of the thinking that's coming into, the questioning that's coming into creating kind of that visual picture for the business?
Sure. Whether it's core values or not, or there's a vision that you've always had, it's like, don't be afraid to write it down. It's just like kink. When people ask me like, how do I explore kink or tell people what I want? It's like, well, you have to actually learn how to journal it for yourself first. And it's so unsexy because nobody talks about journaling and kink that much. But it's like, if you can't communicate what you want to yourself, how can you communicate it to somebody else that you want to do the thing to you or vice versa? So it's, see how the two play in so well. It's like, yeah, whether it be core values or not, I was just fortunate that I learned about core values really, really early. And joy has definitely been one that sticks around because what I do, you can tell it lights me up. It lights up my audience. It lights up my clients. They tell me things like, oh, well, I'm about to be really unprofessional. And I'm like, okay, shoot, go ahead. And they're like, I had the best sex of my life this morning, and this is why I'm so productive. I'm like, yes, please, more of this. Thank you for sharing. How do I help you have more sex? That's amazing.
Awesome. Love it.
So professionalism has changed. At least it's changing in how I do my business because it's not about like being in a button-up tie or whatnot or how you dress. It's like, we're people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're people. And I feel like professionalism is about hitting my deadlines, communicating clearly, having consent, being transparent. So like that to me is a different way of running business.
I love it. So when it comes into building structures and systems, I think most people think they have to sit down and then think everything they have to do from A to Z and then create the system. And then maybe potentially entrepreneurs think, well, I don't have time for that because I have to market, because you don't understand me, because if I don't market and bring in the sales, then the business is going to die. So I'll get to that one day. And then you and I know one day never comes. So
Yeah.
is it that complicated to create the structures and the systems, or can entrepreneurs actually do it on the fly? Like, is there some and also world that exists?
Yeah, there is. So there's many ways in which you can approach this. And funny enough, when you talk about like, oh, I need to focus on my marketing, it's like I often tell my clients, it's like, well, what happens when your client just clicks and something works and suddenly like 25 people want to work with you? How many can you realistically take on? And they're like, maybe 3. And I'm like, isn't it ironic that you want to grow your business? Grow means more revenue. Yet you're the one that's leaving money on the table because you didn't spend the time to create the right infrastructure to onboard more clients, either by yourself or through an automation, like through apps or even through a team member. So
Nice. I like using Vidyard. Anytime I run into a problem with my VA or a client or whatever, and we're teaching the same thing 8 bajillion times, I'm like, fuck it. I'm just
yep.
going to do a Vidyard share of this thing. I'm going to stick this into a Google Sheet, and boom, system is done on the fly.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like, even if you have those 3 options, it's like just record, or you can record a video. It's like you're already doing the thing, so why not hit record? And I'm a fan of Loom. So if you don't have Loom, if you don't have Vidyard, you probably have Zoom. You can record yourself on Zoom and do it too. But it's like you have a system, you have a process. Like humans are naturally process oriented, even if they're the most inefficient process, we have one. And you can have somebody follow it, or if they catch it and say, why don't you do this instead? It will save you like so much more time. It's like, well, at least you had a baseline to make something better.
Exactly.
Like, don't
Exactly.
make it hard. Like, at the end of the day, a system is about all the resources and steps you need to get from the thing you started with to the end product.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's about the methodology, the resources, and putting that into like a logical order, like a step-by-step checklist, even like step 1, do this, step 2, do that. Yeah, record a video and then have somebody transcribe it, or don't.
Are there some things in business, I don't know the answer to this question, are there some things in businesses that you just can't document, you just cannot systematize because it's maybe potentially the genius of that one person?
That's a great question. And I have like a yes and no answer to this, because if there's one thing I know, it's like everything and anything in your business can be systematized, because the more you systematize, the more you are not tied down, pun intended, to your business. So it's like, I wonder if by systematizing everything you can, you've unlocked this like white space and clear and like just availability in your mind to not be stressed, not be worried, and just be in the zone where you can have ideas flow to you. And then on the other side, I have realized from working with the Stanford Design Department, they have created a framework. Like, I can't remember how many steps. It's like a 6 or 7-step framework. It's called design thinking, that takes you from step 1, like finding out the problem, to step 7, delivering like a really rough and rapid prototype, and then making it better. Yeah, actually the last step is like iterating it and making it better. And it's like they have somehow created a framework that produces innovation and genius and amazing results every time if you follow it, because it's really about doing the right research, asking the right questions, understanding the right problems, and then giving yourself the space and with zero judgment to just brainstorm, like, how do you reduce food waste? And no, like, no solution is a bad solution, because if you were to stop yourself, the things that come out of your mouth might actually influence the real solution that happens. So like, for instance, when I said, well, what if we had like aliens just fly down from space and like teleport the food up and like reuse it for their fuel? And then, you know, how that sounds like it's stupid, it's asinine. But because I said it and I was being cheeky, my partner was actually like, wait a minute. Well, what if we went and contacted the chemical design department to see how they could turn the food waste we have into some sort of end-to-end fuel use here at the school? And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. So I feel like your I feel like that's a yes and no question. And I don't really know the answers to that either, but I can see both sides.
Totally. I could totally see both sides. I was just
Okay.
thinking about like some of the coaching I do at Uprising Adventure, which is our 3.5-day event. We have a structure that it's proven to generate results. Like we give a guarantee. If people don't see it as the biggest shift of their entire adult life, here's your money back. I know they're going to see it as their biggest shift of their entire adult life because we have this shit dialed in. We know what we're doing. And so there is a process. And also there is things that flow through me to be able to ask some questions and feel some things and see some things that I don't know how to train any other human being on how to do some of those things because they're innately just baked into me, you know? So that's why I was curious.
I wonder if this is, so I teach this conversation a lot, or not teach this conversation, teach this topic and have this conversation a lot about designing your systems or operations for structure and not rigidity. And so the word framework comes to mind because it's like when you have too much freedom. So having too much freedom is also a bad thing. And an example of this would be like Trello, the project management app. It's like when you open it, it's like just like a blank screen and has like one column. It's like, where do you go from there if you don't know what you're doing? So that's why like creating a sense of framework, it gives you like boundaries to make you feel safe in a way that allows you to iterate or come up with your genius ideas within this set boundary. So I wonder if that genius, and I don't discount the person like you because I totally feel that as well, but I wonder if it's because we have our framework that we know where we operate our genius in. Like we're in our zones of genius and excellence when we're coming to this event or whatever it is we're doing. So it's like we have this framework that we're ready to go, and like we trust that things are going to run well. So our brains just like relax in a way.
Yep. 100%. Like there's so many things for me that come through just breathing and moving my body and just, I won't go into things I've said at events, but there's like sometimes I'm like, fuck, that just came out of my mouth.
You'll have to go. You guys will have to go to this event. So for me, it's the shower.
The shower.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just like, because you're not really thinking, but you kind of are thinking, but you can't push it because once I've tried to like solve something in the shower and it just didn't work. I'm like, fuck, maybe I'll shower again later.
Then we make the shower the thing. And anytime we make a thing the thing, then we kind of miss the whole point of the thing.
But it's still my thing. Like I've had a whiteboard in the shower. Like I actually had like a scuba diving like board and pencil in there because it's waterproof that scuba divers use. And I've written down slogans or like taglines or things that I've said. I'm like, just like, oh God. But then I also believe that if I've forgotten it and it doesn't come back to me in 10 minutes or something, maybe it just wasn't meant to be that brilliant.
Yeah, it makes sense.
A little teaser.
Now you said something really good here. So most entrepreneurs are really creative people and they fight structure because they're like, you shall not limit my ability to create and have freedom, right? And so they resist structure. And the thing that I found is the more frameworks that we'll use that word, the more frameworks an entrepreneur uses, the more habitual way of being and doing that they tap into, the faster it is that they actually create the results that they desire. And it's so fascinating to me because it's almost paradoxical. It's like on one hand, they're like, no, I'm creative. I don't want any structure. And it's like the Trello board, you're like, fuck, there's so many options. I don't know where to start. What do I do? So what advice do you have to these creative, insane, crazy entrepreneurs on choosing to embrace actually more structure because it allows them to actually be more creative, which is very counterintuitive and yet also very true?
It's just so true to me. Like, I don't understand their counterintuitivism. Is that even a word? But yes.
It is now. It is
okay,
now.
So 2 things. Number 1, the reason why you hate that structure is because somebody created or somebody tried to make you fit into their mold. So when you despise some sort of structure, it's because it doesn't align with you. Something in your brain just doesn't feel good because it's not honoring the things that you need it to honor. So like, for instance, if I was super, super creative and I loved to have a whole day to myself to just paint and be creative or whatnot. So I'm talking about my client here, but yet they've always been told that they had to put a limit on their creativity because you have to come into the real world, whatever it is, the baggage that we carry, right? And so it's like the reason why you hate structure is because that structure is hurting you some way, because it's totally hindering and totally crushing the thing you need to express. So when I hear creatives and work with clients who hate structure and all that stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's because you just haven't found a thing that feels orgasmic, because having orgasmic operations is totally my thing. Like if it feels good, if it feels that damn good, it's going to stick and you're going to be excited and inspired to stick to it and use it.
So how do they find the orgasmic thing? Is it trying a bunch of things, or is it trusting their
getting
intelligence?
to know you? It's it's getting to know you. Like a big part of my framework. So I have this 3-part framework. It's a 3-phase framework called people, purpose, process. Everything I do is people first. Operations are such app centered nowadays. It's like, no, actually it's like the person running the app is who I'm designing for. So not only are my solutions app agnostic, but I put people first. And it's like the number one thing I always ask is, let's get to know you. What is that like? And we're just talking, like, how do they see the world? How do they visualize information? Is that an Excel spreadsheet kind of thing? Or do they need to see it in sticky notes? Or is it like a list? I mean, this is just an example. Or are they the type of person that does better when they just only have to focus on one thing at a time instead of doing 5 different things for 10 minutes at a time? Like some people with ADHD need to have more than one thing to do. So it's like, tell me about yourself. Who are you? How do you operate? And so by giving me all this information, it helps me create a really organic and holistic solution that is app agnostic and that fits them and their culture and their team. And so the last part of the work that I do is the process part, because it's like apps can come later. Because no matter what app or software you use, it's like it's going to be the same framework that you design for yourself that makes your entire team tick in the best of ways.
What's your favorite software?
So I don't have a favorite. I have a whole suite.
Okay.
But I feel like we talk about Loom a lot, and I am starting to love this thing called Notion.
Okay.
It's like I'm very documentation and process heavy in my work, obviously. And so it's just worked a lot better, but I'm trying to leave ClickUp for that. So I'm loving ClickUp, loving Loom. I love Slack because communication is so damn important, no matter if it's in kink or in business. And so it's like having organized channels for conversations and to be able to search for those conversations makes work so much more efficiently. And then number 2, so going back to my first point, it's like designing for, if you're too creative and stuff like that, I would find yourself a right-hand person. If you're such a creative and such a visionary, go find yourself an integrator. Go find yourself a systems person. Go find yourself somebody who's high in the execution, like as execution as a strength.
Awesome.
So it's like, you can complain all you want and tell me you hate structure, but if you really want to grow this business and have this legacy that you want to leave behind or have this impact, stop complaining, do something about it. Here are your 2 options.
What's your favorite project management software? Mine currently is Monday because I'm super visual. So Monday works great for me.
Yeah. So Monday is like ClickUp. So I would say that ClickUp, the reason why I love ClickUp is because it's like Asana and Trello had a love child. And so I would say that Monday, like I've seen Monday and I've seen the visual way in which it's laid out, and ClickUp can pretty much do that too if you set it up a certain way.
Gotcha.
So to me, I'm very visual. I love Gantt charts. Like, I don't know about you, but I want to create a t-shirt that says I Gantt even. But that's just me. So I'm a project manager at heart. And yeah, I would say that ClickUp has been amazing because of the different features, but also simplicity that it has. Like, only make it as complicated as you need it to make it, and you don't have to use all the features. And so I feel like ClickUp is the right tool for that. Like if you're simple and just want it to have it in a list form, or like you want to have it in a visual, like Kanban, Trello type form view, it's there for you. But if you need more complexity, it's also there for you.
Nice. What has been like your biggest breakthrough that you've experienced personally around organizations, structures for businesses?
The biggest breakthrough that I totally had, like my business changed so much, was when I put people first. And so it's like to nobody's surprise based on the things that I was talking about today, but like, because immediately when somebody comes to you and you're having like a consult/discovery call with them, you're like, oh, I know what's wrong. And after you do it for a while, you do know. And especially if I know my ideal client really well, it's like the same issues and the same needs come up over and over. But the one thing that's constantly different is how they approach the problem, how they as a person, how their team sees it. And so it's like, that's always the fun part. So really understanding the person behind everything has been a huge game changer, which is why I can turn somebody who hated spreadsheets to begin with. And like when I created like a framework for them to help them visualize their like data or whatever it is they needed at the time, it's like, they're like, oh my God, I can see why spreadsheets are so amazing now. And I absolutely love it. And I cannot believe you converted this hater into a lover.
So good.
Right. So it's like, it's just getting to know the person.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense to me. And if you could go back in time and like give yourself some wisdom that would help her collapse time and results, what would you tell her?
Oh God, I would have just been like, just be unapologetic. Like at first, when I first started, I was so unsure. I was like, can I curse in my business? Because I was told I couldn't. It's like all the things about can I or should I, or maybe I'm too much. It's like, just do it. I mean, because look what happens like 5 years down the road. It's like you can be naked on your home screen and you're still making good money because you're attracting the people you're meant to attract. And so it's like, just be yourself and go for it.
Awesome. And if people want to learn more about like you, your business, how they can get some help on organizational structures and systems and processes, where do they go?
They can go to businesslaidbare.com, and there is a consult/discovery call form. So if you just want to get on a call, because I'm such a talker, so it's like, I'd rather just get on a call with you and chat with you for 30 minutes. So it's really informal, and yeah, just go to the website and then click on the contact me list and we'll get to the bottom of it.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here, Veronica. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, there you have it, my friend, Veronica Yanhs. I hope you learned some practical information to help you build out your own systems and processes inside your business. During this episode, we talked about using Loom to create processes on the fly. Now, I have personally implemented this advice this year. I use Vidyard. It's a free Chrome plugin that allows you to record your screen. And I'll tell you, it's been a game changer for me because I know without a shadow of a doubt, now that my processes and systems are built out for the production of this podcast specifically, I know any human being on the planet with the right skill sets can hop inside my business and help me get this podcast into your ears. No problems. Like, I have zero fears if it's possible. Like, I know with a certainty that it is. So if you're wondering, like, man, is it worth it to really take the time to build out the systems and structure for your business? I'm just going to tell you, yeah, it absolutely is. And if you're thinking that, man, it's going to take so much time to do that, I'm also going to tell you that's an absolute lie, because it really doesn't take that much time. I just want you to keep in mind that what got you here will not get you to the next level. And there's that saying that goes something like new levels, new devils, right? And there seems to be like a lot of truth to it. Like, at some point, you're going to have your marketing and sales dialed in, and your next edge is going to be building out systems and processes. So I really hope this episode served you and gave you some insights in how to do that. If this episode inspired you in some way, I'd love to hear about it and know what your biggest takeaway was. Simply take a screenshot of you listening on your device, post it over to your Instagram stories, and then just please tag me at AJ Amix, and also tag Veronica at Veronica Yanhs. It's Veronica Yanhs over on Instagram. Thank you so much for being here. That's going to do it for this episode of the Anthony John Amix podcast. Till next time, my friend, I'm out. Peace. Well, that's all I've got for this episode of the Anthony John Amix podcast, but we have plenty more to help you become unstoppable in life and business. So head on over to ajamix.com for exclusive resources, information, and tools to help you break through to a new level of freedom, purpose, and success. I look forward to having you back for the next episode. Bye for now.